Hello and welcome into the latest edition of the Fore-All Podcast. I'm Jesse Morrison, alongside with Mr. Fore-All himself, Max Bechtoldt. And Max, you were the first person to post about the retirement of one Ally Ewing. Just wanted to get your thoughts on her career and her calling it quits. It's the big news of the week.
Yeah, hopped onto Instagram this morning. As soon as I got on, I saw this post, knew it needed to be reported on because Ally Ewing is, such an underrated figure, I think, in modern women's golf. She only has 3 wins, but she's been such a staple since 2020, especially. All 3 of those wins have come in that time. She won each year between 2020 and 2022. She's been on the last 4 Solheim Cup teams. I think a lot of people, kind of remember her because she filled in for Stacey Lewis on the 2019 team because Stacey Lewis had an injury at the last minute. And so it kind of came full circle now that Stacey Lewis has been a Solheim Cup captain and Ally Ewing has played under her. It's been a really interesting career for her. She's always been kind of in that, B-level star, I would say, kind of thing where, she's a prominent player, but she hasn't ever been like a superstar on the tour. But she's always been one of the best players on the LPGA Tour, especially in the last 5 years. And she's going to be definitely missed. I think she retired seemingly when you read her Instagram post because she won that Solheim Cup. It kind of seemed like that was like the last step in her career was being on a winning Solheim Cup team, a team that she was clearly a leader on, almost like if you would consider like a playing captain on, because I do think she'll be probably an assistant captain in 2 years when the next Solheim Cup is played. Every player seems to love her so much. The talk around the tour is, just utter sadness today, it seems like, because she won't be there anymore. So it's a big loss in that way.
Yeah, I think that you said great things there. I also wanted to bring up the fact that, she got her LPGA card in 2016 and then was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes
Mm-hmm.
quickly after that. And, it's got to be tough to play any professional sport with that going on. And, just shout out her, though, for, winning 3 championships and or 3 tournaments and, being able to, I guess, overcome that. And that's really admirable to me. And yeah, I mean, most people in the world have not won 3 professional golf tournaments. So, maybe not the world's greatest player ever, but definitely a notable figure, definitely a notable player to retire. And that's where I was going to go next, Max, is just like,
Yeah, and I just want to hit on real quick. She was probably having her best season of her career this year, which I don't know if that added into it where she wanted to go out on top, but she's had 6 top 10s this season, and 3 of those were in majors. She almost made the Olympics this year out of nowhere. She's currently ranked number 18 in the world, number 9 in the CME standings. Like, she's had such a great year, and for her to go out this way on her terms is a great thing to see.
does this surprise you at all, I guess?
Surprise, yes. Shock, no. There's kind of that fine line between surprise and shock. Um, it surprises me just because she was playing really well this year, but I just kind of see that Solheim Cup win as that hurdle that she wanted to get over because she's been on 4 teams. She was on 3 losing teams before. It just kind of seems like she saw this kind of Solheim Cup win as the moment where she could say, okay, now I can retire happily. Um, Even though she came really close to some majors this year, and I think if she played another year or two, she could have a real shot at winning one. I think she was just comfortable with her career now that she's won a Solheim Cup.
And that's what I wanted to go back to. Solheim, you mentioned, you think she'll be an assistant captain in a couple of years. Could you see her ever being the captain of the Solheim Cup team?
I could. I mean, there's a big backup right now. It seems like of Solheim Cup captains. I do think Morgan Pressel, if she can be, obviously because she has the job at Golf Channel. I don't know if what that situation's like, but if she can be, I think she'll be the next captain. Then you got Paula Creamer, you've got Angela Stanford, you got Brittany Lincecum, you've got Lexi Thompson. I think Ally Ewing has put herself in that group, and I think she has a good chance at being an assistant next time out. I don't know if she'll ever get the captain's job, but I think she'll be in that rotation. I think she'll be in the captain's room for sure. It's just the American captain's room is getting really deep right now.
And this is a point that I kind of wanted to bring up as well. We saw Lexi Thompson; she's retiring this year, 29 years old. Now you get Ally Ewing retiring. She turns 32 next month. Do you think that it hurts the LPGA, I guess, that it's just such an early age to retire for a sport that you consider, you think of with longevity and everything. It's a whole different game on the LPGA. Just what do you make of that? And just, do you think it's a good thing for the tour or bad thing for the tour? It doesn't really matter.
Well, I think it can be a negative for the tour, especially when I look at someone like Lexi Thompson. I mean, when you lose a superstar like her, it can be a real negative. I'm not sure as much with Ally Ewing, who is a star, is a well-known player, gets in featured groups, but isn't that kind of transcendent figure that Lexi Thompson is. I do think it can hurt at times, but there's so many young players cycling through right now. We just saw Heyron Yu won a few weeks ago. Gino Tidikun came in second last week. Like, there's so many young stars who are playing great golf that it's like it does feel like the LPGA just kind of has these 6 or 7 year cycles where it's like, oh, these are the star players for 6 or 7 years, and now we go on to the new ones. It feels like we're in an interesting transition period right now. I don't think it necessarily hurts, but I do think these young stars, need to get to the point where they're winning a little bit more majors so that they can get that bigger name. While these older players are kind of cycling out, it seems like.
Interesting. All right. Well, do you think that we're shifting to a new era in women's golf? You're seeing Lexi retire. You're seeing Ally Ewing retire. Do you think that we're kind of getting into a new era? You kind of brought up the younger players, but yeah, do you think it's going to be? Do you think we're going to see more of this? I guess more of these players of their kind of age or their length of time in the tour, retiring soon and just kind of, basically being the Rosangs of the world, being the new stars, and basically that's it.
I do see the transition period happening right now. I think we're in that cycle. You look at Minjee Lee, Brooke Henderson, Lexi Thompson, obviously, Danielle Kang. Like, we're seeing some of these players who have dominated the last 3 or 4 years start to kind of struggle a little bit more. Hyoju Kim, another one. Georgia Hall. Like, we're seeing these players not play as well as they did before, week in and week out. And you look at the Rolex top 10, you've got players like Lilia Vu, who's really in her second strong year. Roning Yin, Ayaka Fue, Heyron Yu, Rose Zhang, as you mentioned, Gino Tidikun. Like, we're seeing these young players kind of come up, and players like Nelly Korda and Lydia Ko are going to transcend, that kind of transition period because they are so great. And I do think Jin Young Ko will get back to her strong play and will transcend it as well. But even when we talk about Lydia Ko, she's had some retirement rumors swirling around as well. And so I do think we're in this point where those days of Brooke Henderson and Minji Lee and Hyoju Kim playing well every single week are kind of gone. And we're going to see a lot more of Heyron Yu, Roning Yin, uh, Rose Zhang, these kind of players playing more. So it's not just strictly off of Ally Ewing retiring that we're seeing this kind of shift. It's because these young players are so talented that they're just kind of taking it over. So I think we're in a transition period in the LPGA right now for the next couple of years.
Shout out Amy Yang though.
Amy
She's still
Yang,
out here, you know, mid
she's not
30s.
even she's not even from the last era. She's from the era before and
Yeah,
still in majors. So yeah,
out here winning majors at 34. So now 35. So she's the exception to the rule. So, but
yeah.
love to see her still out there doing it.
I mean, the LPGA is still a young person's sport. It really is. And you kind of maybe thought that would change with this ultra talented group that came in 7 years ago. This group of Lexi Thompsons and Brooke Hendersons and Minji Lees, but you're already starting to see that group kind of fade away, and it's interesting to see. And it'll be interesting to see over the next year if that group gets back in it. And I don't want to act like Brooke Henderson's been bad this year. She's had a solid year, but she doesn't have any wins, which is a little bit unusual for her.
All right. Well, somebody that does have some wins this year is Lydia Ko, who continued her great season with a win in Cincinnati over the weekend. Really dominated that last round, 9 under in the last round, won this tournament by 5 strokes. Max, just, I guess overall, just what are you seeing out of her right now? And is she playing the best golf of her career?
It's certainly up there. And I think about when you think about basketball players as they age, you always think about, oh, they developed a jumper, right? Like that's how you dwell is you develop the jumper. Lydia Ko has developed a driver because she's driving the ball phenomenally, which she has always struggled with in her career. And it feels odd as you get older to see that. But we see her distance going up. She's hitting the ball a lot straighter. She's developed this really great power fade right now where she tees the ball low and she hits a left to right shot. It's consistent. It hits every time. And I think that's the key behind what's happening right now. Is you see her T-ball going way better. We know that she's great with the short game. I mean, she's one of the best chippers of all time. She's a consistent putter. It's just been, can she get it straight off the tee? And we're seeing her right now get it straight off the tee. And that's why she's winning so much. So it's really impressive to see how much she's kind of changed her game. And I'm super impressed. I mean, this was an incredibly dominant tournament. I mean, she's had a lot of impressive performances as of late, but this one just felt really dominant in a way that the others haven't.
All right, now the player that finished second in that tournament, Gino Tidekun, she's looking really good right now. Max, what are you seeing out of her?
She's when I think about the next era of the LPGA Tour, which is just what we talked about. If you had to pinpoint who a dominant player would be, it's Gino Tidekun going forward. I mean, the LPGA just posted a stat today, the most top 10 finishes on the LPGA Tour since the beginning of 2022. Lydia Ko is third with 23. Nelly Korda is second with 26. Gino Tidekun is first with 36. So she has 10 more top 10 finishes than anybody else over the last 3 years on the LPGA Tour. I mean, her talent is out of control. She's such an incredible ball striker. She hits the ball long. She hits her irons wildly straight. And in the final round in Cincinnati, even though she struggled a lot throughout it, she was hitting some incredible, incredible putts. We've known that she's been talented over the last few years. She showed me a lot this week, though. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 or 3 years, we see a season where she wins 4 or 5 events, wins a major. It's got to be coming soon. She's kind of this new brand of Thailand players that came up in the aftermath of the Jutanagarn's dominance, where she kind of has, I think, been inspired by those players to really, really come up and be this incredible superstar of the future. She's only 21 years old, and she's already doing this kind of stuff. It's incredible to watch.
And speaking of her, she will try to win this weekend at the Arkansas Championship. And she won that tournament 2 years ago as a rookie on her way to Rookie of the Year. We also saw last year's Rookie of the Year win the tournament as well. What are your thoughts on this tournament? What do you know, are you what's your level of excitement for it? Field looks pretty good this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited about this tournament. This is a tournament that I think mostly because of Stacy Lewis, who is an Arkansas University grad, who has kind of almost semi-hosted this event for years. This has kind of become one of those check mark events to watch, even though it's only a 3-day event. Doesn't always have the best field. You know, we don't see some of the best players in the world in the field this year, but we see a lot of those Solheim Cup players that didn't play last week are playing in this one. I am excited for it. It's kind of a unique one with it only being 3 days. But you know, it's been a great indicator over the last 2 years of who the Rookie of the Year will be, with Gino Tidekun and Heiran Yu winning the last 2 seasons. So you gotta look at names like Gabby Ruffles and Malsago, like these rookies who have been really, really good. Can they win this event? And this kind of be their breakout. Like, that's what's really exciting to me, is this kind of rookie storyline, and if it can keep going. So this is a great event. From all accounts, it's really, really well run, and the players love it. So I'm looking forward to it.
And it's sponsored by Walmart, which is Arkansas's,
It
I
is.
guess, greatest gift to this world, maybe.
Sure. I mean, we're not sponsored, but I prefer Target a little bit to Walmart, but it is what it is.
I was being sarcastic here, Max.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Who do you think is going to win? Because I have my pick. I just got to get yours first.
All right, I'm going into the rookie narrative. I'm taking Gabby Ruffles. Gabby Ruffles has been, as advertised this year. She came into the tour as one of the most hyped players in recent memory. Not quite at the level of Rose Zhang, but a little bit below. And I think she gets this win, and it will propel her to the Rookie of the Year status. So I'm taking Gabby Ruffles.
All right. She hasn't won in a couple of months on tour. But she's one of the top players right now, number 2 in the world. I'm gonna go with Lydia Vu here to win this one. She's the first name on this list of players that are playing in this field. So I think that she's the best player in the field, and I think she's going to come out there and prove that she is the best player in the field and win for the first time in a couple of months.
And she's got some great hype behind her after the Solheim Cup, where even though she didn't play great, she hit the winning putt. She was the winning point for the United States. So she's got some momentum going into this. So I do like that pick.
All right, Max, what is up on the site right now that people need to go check out? Fore-All.com, FORE-all.com. What's up there? What do people need to be checking out?
So after Lydia Ko won, I thought we should, revisit some of the Hall of Fame talk. So I did some speculation on who will be the next LPGA Tour Hall of Famer and when that will happen. Spoiler alert, I think it will take less than 10 years this time. I think it will happen in the next 3 or 4 years. So you'll have to go check out who I picked. Aside from that, I have some CME standings updates right now. And starting this Friday, we have a new contributor to the site, Vicky DeRazio, who is covering fashion for us. So now we're going to have some fashion updates for everybody every Friday. So check that out.
There you go. So definitely want to check that out. All right, Max, that will do it for our latest edition of the Fore-All Podcast. We will be back next week with a spicy debate about who should be player of the year. I think that Max and I have a different opinion on this. So you'll definitely want to tune in to next week's podcast.